let me start my talk with a prayer. Okay. Guru Pita Gurur Mata Gurur Devo Na Samshayaha Karmana Manasa Vacha Tasmat Sarva Prasevyate. Shall I share the slide, or will you share the slide, Madhav?
Akshay, if you have.
Okay, I have the slide. I can share it.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah,
he can do.
Yeah. So, good evening, friends. My initial prayer was from Shiva Samhita about the Guru. Okay. So, with the remembrance of my Guru, let me start with my topic, that is primary defense of a yogi for pathogens. So, here, yogi does not mean that he stays in Himalayas, or he leave everything and he goes in Himalayas. It is not like that. Okay. It is for the common man, how you can primarily defend yourself about against the pathogens. Currently, you are facing, so it will be helpful. So next slide, sir. Yeah. Before going, let us understand what is the immune system. The immune system is the body's defense against disease causing organism, malfunctioning of the cells, and the foreign particles. So there are three lines of defense in our body. That is, first line of defense, second line of defense, and the third line of defense. So next slide, please. So next slide. Jump this slide, sir. Yeah. See, in the immunity, we have first line of defense, second line of defense, and the third line of defense. So in the first line of defense, there are again two things will come. One is physical barriers, and the other one is chemical barriers. This first line of defense will come under the innate immunity. The physical barriers are the skin and the mucous membrane, and the chemical barriers are the antimicrobial produced in the liquids like saliva or gastric juice, okay, etc. Next slide, sir. So why this particular first line of defense is very important? We have to understand that. See, you consider any big problem, or you consider any COVID or anything, any big problem or big disease, start with a very small thing. Simple example I give you. Imagine you will travel outside, you will drink water, okay? The first and foremost thing it will start is infection. Throat infection will start. The throat infection, after 1 or 2 days, it leads to the cough. After cough, 1 or 2 days, it will lead to the fever. So finally, a small throat infection will lead to the fever. So that is why the first defending is very important. So here, the skin acts as a barrier to the most of the pathogens. Since it contains a keratinized cells, you know, most of the bacteria cannot able to degrade the keratin, even fungi also. Only very less number of fungi and bacteria can able to degrade the keratin. And the oral cavity, again, it has a salivary glands which produces the lysozyme. Then stomach acid, very low pH, it might kill the organism. Then the mucosal surface. The mucosal surface, what happens is, whatever the pathogen is entered, it will adhere to that, or it will stick on that, so that it cannot multiply. And the normal flora, which is there in the intestine or the gut, where it will avoid or prevent the attaching of the pathogens to the intestinal wall. And there is one more second line of defense, the fever. Whenever the fever comes because when the temperature of the body is increased, it will suppress the microbial growth. So that is also a defense system. And one more thing is, in yogic way, the positive pressure we call. It is by the Pancha Pranas. In next slide, I will tell you what is that Pancha Prana. So next slide. Yeah, this is just a pictorial representation. So in the nasal cavity, the cilia will hold most of the microorganisms or particles. It will filter that, and the mucus lining, which is in the foot pipe, and this one, esophagus. So it will absorb or stick the microorganisms. And the stomach, as already I told you, the acidity is very high. That means it's pH 2. Then the normal flora in the gut, and flushing is also a type of defense, and the skin surface barrier and the lysozyme in the ears. So next slide. Yeah. So now, in our body, depending on the concentration of the air, or vayu we call, vayu or air, and the direction of the movement, it is divided into 5 different types of vayus. That is why it's called as pancha pranas. So the first one is prana, where the concentration is more in the chest region and the movement is upwards, and udana, where the concentration in the throat region and movement is again upwards, and vyana, it is throughout the body, the movement is there throughout the body, and the abdominal region, that is samana, where your air movement is circular, and apana, that is where below the navel region the concentration is more, the movement is towards the downward direction. Okay, why this is very important is, I have to give an example to make you understand this. See, imagine you consider a very good sophisticated lab, okay, where they handle all the pathogens or anything, or you can imagine a production unit in the factory space. If you imagine this food related one, it is best. Inside the hall, they maintain a high pressure. Inside the hall, they maintain a high pressure. Whenever you open the door, the air from inside, it travels to the outside. That means anything from the inside cannot able to enter into it might be the dust particles or microbes. It cannot enter into the building. So in the same way, if our body is positively pressurized, okay, so no microorganisms or pathogens can enter into the body. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. So now we have learned about the immune system and what are all the defending mechanisms we have. So, but we spoil that. We spoil that defending mechanism in these 7 ways. One is stress and anxiety, alcohol, lack of sleep, unhealthy diet, dehydration, lack of exercise, and smoking. See, in this lockdown period, you might have seen many of the doctors used to say in the TVs, don't get anxiety, don't be stressed, don't take tension. COVID is, you can handle the COVID. So they used to tell that one. So whenever you comes under stress or anxiety, your immune system goes down. So it is very easy to attack for the pathogen. And the lack of sleep, the working habits of now in the modern age. So you are they're lacking the sleep. So unhealthy diet. So it's already we take only the unhealthy food. If you are seeing, if you just go to the hotels, we just take only the unhealthy foods. So then dehydration, then lack of exercise. Lack of exercise is very prominent. They are not able to do the exercise. If you ask them to come at 7 o'clock, by 7 o'clock to the yoga class, they will not be able to get up at 7 o'clock. So definitely they will not be able to do the exercises. And smoking is become very prominent. So these all things will reduce your immunity. Next slide, please, sir. Yeah. In Hatha Yoga, they say, what do you mean by a healthy body? Vapu krushatvam, vadane prasannata, nada saputatvam, nayane sunirmale, arogata bindu jayo, agni deepanam, nadi vishuddha hata siddhi lakshanam, hata siddhi lakshanam. That means when a body becomes lean, the face glows with delight. That is very important. If he is a yogi or if he is a healthy yogi, you should see his face and his eyes. It should be, face should glow with delight. and anahatanada manifests. That means the voice becomes very smooth or very listenable. It will be very soft, and eyes are clear. This is also one of the good characteristics of a healthy Hatha yogi, that eyes are clear and body is healthy, bindu under control, and appetite increases. Appetite is the gastric fire increases, then he is considered to be the healthy person or healthy Hatha yogi. Please, next slide. Yeah. So to attain this, there are many yogic techniques. But in Hatha Yoga, they have mentioned about Shat Karmas, or it is also called as Shat Kriyas. So what they mention is Dhautir Basarta, Netratakam, Naulikam Tata, Kapala Bhatischainati, Shat Karmani Parichakshaye. That means you should do the Dhauti, Basti, Neti, Trataka, Nauli, and Kapala Bhati. These are all mainly related to first defense or first line of immune system or first line of defense. Please, next slide. Yeah. So let us understand one by one what all this. So Trataka is, we call it as effortless gazing. There are two types of Trataka. One is Jyoti Trataka and other one is Jatru Trataka. So the image what you are seeing is, it is a Jyoti Trataka. So it is just effortless gazing on the lamp or the light, or we call it as Jyoti. Can you go to the next slide? So benefits of this is, see, there are many benefits in all these Shat Karmas. I'll be concentrating in the first line of defense. So what happens in the Trataka? The toxins are removed in the form of tears. So when you do that, you'll get a lot of tears. So the toxins are removed in the form of tears. Then it strengthens the muscles surrounding the eyes and helps to get rid of the mild eye problems like short-sightedness. And it also increases the concentration and improves the mental and nervous stability. Can I go to the next slide? Yeah. Next one is Kapala Bhati, where it's a forceful exhalation and passive inhalation through the nostril. It can be done with the one nostril and both the nostril also. So forceful exhalation and passive inhalation. So next slide. So the benefits of this is, so it cleanses the nasal tract. So in the pictorial representation, we are seeing that. That means the cilia will hold all the bacteria or the whatever the things entering from outside. So it cleanses the nasal tract. According to Hatha Yoga Pradipika, they claim that Kapala Bhati removes all impurities of the body, and the Kapala Bhati is the best practice available to oxygenate the blood. Next slide, sir. Yeah. Next one is Neti. Neti. That means here we are cleaning our nostrils or nasal passages. If you clean with the water, that is called as Jalaneti. If you clean with the thread, it is called as Sutraneti. So here, whatever you are seeing is, it is a Jalaneti they are performing. What you have to do is the lukewarm water, salted water, you have to pour your water to the one nostril and it has to come out from the other nostril. So the benefits of this, so please next slide. So this is one more picture which they are doing with the Sutraneti. That means there is a rubber catheter will come, catheter made up of rubber. So they insert through the nostril and they take it out from the mouth and they clean the nasal surface or the nasal cavity. Next slide, sir. So the benefits of this is it maintains the nasal hygiene by removing the dirt and bacteria trapped along with the mucus in the nostril. So it definitely, if that is happening, definitely it will avoid allergies and some asthmas. And also it can elevate upper respiratory complaints, sore throat, tonsils, and dry coughs. Next slide, please, sir. Yeah, this is one of the practice it is called as Nauli. That means the exercise for the abdominal muscles. So what they do is they suck the abdomen in and they move the abdominal muscles towards the right side. If you move towards the right side, it is called as Dakshina Nauli. If it is moved towards the left side, it is called as Vamana Nauli. If it is rotated, it is called as Nauli Chalana. Next slide, sir. So the benefits of this is, if Nauli, if you do it properly, what it will do? It will massage the internal organs. Which are the internal organs? The stomach, liver, spleen, urinary bladder, pancreas, gallbladder, and intestine. And the intestine. This helps to maintain the perfect health of lower organs. So definitely it will make the organs healthy by massaging. We have seen the massaging from the outside, but this is the massaging for internal organs. Next slide, sir. Yeah, this is also one of the technique. It is called as Dhauti. Dhauti means it is vomiting. Okay, Dhauti means vomiting. They are doing what they are doing is, it's called as Vamana Dhauti. Again, there are many types of Dhautis. Vamana Dhauti, Vastra Dhauti, and Danda Dhauti is also there. So regularly, what we do is the Vamana Dhauti and the Vastra Dhauti we will do. So in Vamana Dhauti, what we do is we drink the salted water, or lukewarm salted water, nearly 6 to 8 glass, and we vomit. So the benefits of that. So please, next slide. Yeah, the benefits of that is, so what happens is, there are some undigested food particles will be adhered or linked or attached to the stomach or esophagus. So all those things will come out. So what naturopathy says is, if that undigested food particles or any particles is attached, that will convert into toxin. This is what happens when you take tablets, too many tablets. When you are taking too many tablets, that will stick onto the esophagus or the stomach, and it will create it will act as a toxin in the future. And also it can relieve, it can elevate sore throat and coughs. Next slide, sir. So this is a Vastra Dhauti, what I have shown. So in Vastra Dhauti, what we will do is, we take a cloth which is of 3-inch width and around 2 meter length. Okay. So then again, rinse it with the lukewarm salt water, and you have to engulf. So it will enter into the food pipe. We will see the benefit of that. Yes, sir. Next slide. Yeah. So what it will do is, it will remove the impurities of the gastrointestinal tract, thereby detoxifying the stomach and esophagus region. So what happens is, in your food pipe, there is a kapha is accumulated, or we call it as also phlegm. So when you remove the when you remove the cloth, the phlegm will come in the form of yellow sticky material. So that will cleanse your the food pipe. So next slide, sir. Yeah, this is one of the last one, the 6th Kriya, that is Bhasti, or we call it as Yogic Enema, where we insert a rubber pipe to the anus, and we inject the water, the lukewarm water, which is a salted water. It can be the isotonic solution. So it is injected. So when it goes to the rectum, as well as small intestine and large intestine. Next slide, sir. Yeah. So again, whatever the impurities are adhered to the walls of the intestine, it might be small intestine or the large intestine, it just comes out. It acts as a yogic enema, and it cleans the colon also. Because we always feel that whatever we had, it has been removed. No, it is not like that. It will stay for sometimes 2-3 days inside the colon. Okay, so all those things will be removed, and it detoxify the intestine. And Bhasti is one of the common practice. You go to any Ayurveda or naturopathy, so for the detoxification of the body, they follow this particular procedure. Next slide, sir. Yeah. See, you are seeing a healthy Hatha yogi. I always say this. When you are seeing the image, you see what he is very dirty or he is very ugly. But actually, his internal organs are very good. Okay, his internal organs and the first line of defense is very good. We are all the dead opposite to them, the yogis. What we have is we wear nice pants and nice shirt, and we look very smart. But when you consider the body inside, we are not that much good. The body is not that much good. Good. So the healthy yogi is the one who has his internal body defense is very good. And one of the best example for this is, for example, if you have your car or if you have your bike, if it is once it is serviced, it no need to be washed from the top. So that is what this kriyas are and all. You wash it from the inside, from the internal organs. You wash it. So taking a bath is not necessary. Frankly speaking, taking a bath will not be a necessary thing. So next slide, sir. So don't practice. Finally, I want to say, don't practice yoga to get better at yoga. Practice yoga to get better at living. It's very important thing. And last slide. Thank you everyone, and thank you Anuradha Madam also for inviting me for this International Day of Yoga. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Before question sessions, I want to give announcement to the participants. We have shared the feedback form in the chat box. I request the participants to fill the feedback form. Your use e-certificate will be sent to the email ID provided in the feedback form within 15 days. So reminder to participants, feedback form will not be shared in WhatsApp or emails. Thank you. Now it's open to questions.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We see a lot of students saying that they're depressed, that there are a lot of they're under a lot of pressure regarding academics, regarding their
Yes.
other lifestyle, basically their lifestyle.
Yes, sir.
So how would yoga help them, get better at their academics or life in general? How would it help?
See, yoga, it's always the complete development of the body and mind. Okay. Most of the people, what they think is yoga, they think it as a prescription. It is not a prescription. Like the doctor gives a prescription, a tablet, and gives, it is not a prescription. It is a practice. If they could practice, definitely their mind and body become healthy. Okay. For simple example, one shloka I will tell you. See, for example, in the, I think in the Jiranda Samhita, I think there is a shloka related to the food. Forgot, sorry. Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita also there is a one shloka. For example, Yuktahara Viharasya, Yukta Cheshtasya Karmasu, Yukta Swapna Vabodasya, Yogo Bhavati Dukkaha. What Krishna has told is, the person who will be successful in yoga, he should have the moderate eating. But we don't have that moderate eating. Okay, so these are the things we fail. Actually, yoga, it develops your complete body as well as mind. Even the students, what they think is, they have a particular problem. Only for that they want to go for yoga. It is not like that. Okay, everybody has to practice yoga so that the calmness in the mind will come. When the calmness in the mind arises, naturally your body parts will function properly.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, one more question. What's your advice, sir, for including yoga as an essential component in curriculum of any graduate studies?
Definitely it has to be introduced, madam. Yoga, with traditional yoga has to be introduced. That is what I always say. The traditional yoga. See, all these shlokas, I always take it from yogic texts. Now what is the problem is happening is, everyone are there learning the asana, but they are not learning the yogic texts. For example, just now, for example, simple example I'll give, the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is also called as a yogic text. That's why it is called as Yoga Shastre. It is called as Yoga Shastre. That means this is also yogic text. Simple example, the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is nothing but the psychology of the common person. Okay, the doubts arise for the Arjuna, it is answered by the Krishna, who is a counselor. So if those things is being introduced and with the exercises, definitely they will improve a lot in the emotional coefficient. I'm not telling about the bodybuilding or the figure and all. I'm not mentioning about that. Emotionally, they'll become very good.
Sir, Priscilla, one more question is there for Priscilla.
Yes, madam.
Please go ahead. You are unmuted.
Priscilla, madam, you are unmuted. You can ask your question.
One minute.
Yeah, sir.
1 minute before that, just that time I forgot the shloka, no? It is Ahara Shuddhau, Sattva Shuddhihi, Sattva Shuddhau, Dhruva Smritihi, Smriti Lambe, Sarva Granthinam, Vipramokshaha. They are very clearly mentioned. Ahara Shuddhau, Sattva Shuddhi. That means if Ahara is pure, that means it is Shuddha. Then Sattva Shuddhi, your character will be good. Sattva Shuddhau, Dhruva Smritihi. If your character is good, Dhruva Smritihi, that means your memories will be still or it will be constant. Dhruva Smritihi. Smriti Lambe, Sarva Grantinam Vipramokshaha. So when your previous memories are stronger and it is constant, naturally all the Sarva Granthinam Vipramokshaha, that means all the cells in your body, it is turned towards the happiest state. That means it is nothing but it will be a healthy cells. So this is what one of the shloka we should always remember whenever we are eating something. Yes, for the question.
Mr. Kiran, please go ahead.
Sir, thank you very much for firstly bringing up with the practical practices and giving the various dimensions of yoga.
Yes, sir.
We have heard through yoga from the previous three speakers. I had one question. Typically, when we sit for meditation or we try to concentrate on one thing, and we've all known that our mind wanders through various aspects, and this is typically the nature of the mind.
Yes, sir.
But however, when we are practicing yoga, like typically when we say yoga, the first aspect that comes into our mind would be Surya Namaskara or any asana.
Yes, sir.
But doing any asana which actually involves an activity like the Surya Namaskara having its various poses, generally our mind tends not to think about anything else, but either about the breathing or about what is the count that I have completed or what is the next count that I have to be taking. So when this is the thing, would you prescribe a particular thought that everyone needs to practice specifically while performing Surya Namaskar?
Okay. Let me give a clarity on that. See, Surya, everyone says that yoga means Surya Namaskara, correct? But let me tell you the fact, Surya Namaskara is not there in yoga. You might be amazed to listen this. Surya Namaskara is not mentioned in any of the yogic texts. Okay? It is Suryopasana is there. Suryopasana is there. But Surya Namaskara, it is not there actually. Because of its popularity, it has been introduced as a yoga thing. But in any of the sacred tests, yogic tests, Surya Namaskara is not there. So now we will come to your question. So in your question, what to concentrate, correct?
More than concentration, what are the specific thoughts that we are supposed to accumulate?
Yes. See, I will tell you the concept of yoga, how it works, asana. For example, you are sitting in front of your system, correct? Your thoughts are wandering around. For example, your mind is wandering around. That means your mind is thinking something else. You might be thinking about your home. You might be thinking about your next career. So the mind will be wandering around. The same thing happens whenever you are doing the asana, correct? So when you start the asana, if you do the proper postures, okay, if you do the proper postures, definitely the body will pain. The muscles will pain. Example, the calf muscles, the thigh muscles, okay, or the back, okay, it will pain. So what happens is when you practice that slowly, the mind which is wandering around everywhere, that comes and sits in your body. For example, imagine you do Padahastasana. When you do Padahastasana, your calf muscle starts pulling. You'll get a pain. So what happens is, whenever you are thinking about something else, whenever you are doing some other, whenever you are doing the asana, because of the pain, the mind will come and sit in the calf muscle. Okay. So in the same way, when we do different asana, so all the whatever the mind which is wandering around, it comes and sits in the body. Okay. When it comes and sits in the body, then we take that one to the mind. That is by dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Okay. This is how in the Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha gushyate. That means you have to practice it. It is not possible. You cannot ask me, sir, will 1 month of yoga will help for this, 2 months of yoga will help for this. No. It is a life. In the life you should adapt. Slowly, gradually, everything will change. Okay, you cannot give any time restriction. This is the concept of yoga actually. Taking the the mind from outside world, keeping inside the body with the asanas, then taking into the mind. That is the dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Okay, this is how you can practice. You should keep this thing in mind. Did I clear the doubt?
Yes, sir. Specifically, it did. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, good
One
evening,
more
sir.
question is there.
Yes, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
for your nice presentation.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of doubts. Suppose
Yes,
if
sir.
my doubt or questions are chilly one, you can just ignore it. Otherwise,
Yes,
you
sir.
please answer.
Yes, sir.
Actually, what is the origin of yoga? Okay, who is the father of yoga? And in your presentation, you just included some quotations in the language Samskrita.
Yes.
I think it's Samskrita. So what is the
Yes.
relationship between the yogas and Samskrita? That's my question. Suppose if
Yeah.
my questions are correct one, you please answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, you just
No problem.
ignore
No
it.
problem. No problem. I'll answer. See, the thing is, the first question is about. Sorry, I forgot.
Origin,
Your first question is about
origin,
yeah,
origin.
father of yoga. Father of yoga, we always consider as sometimes we call it as Patanjali, but actually Patanjali formulated the yoga. Okay, yoga was existing previously. Previously, it was existing. He formulated to Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. He made it in order. So that's why we always call him as a father of yoga. But now Adi Yogi is also father of yoga. Okay. So again, but they are given good things. That is what we have to concentrate. And what is your second question, sir?
Actually, the Sanskritam and the relationship between the Sanskritam and the yoga.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. Definitely. See, the local language in those Vedic times, it was Sanskrit. Okay, local language in the this one Vedic times.
Practicing
It was,
yogas.
no. I'm not talking about yoga. The Vedic time. Okay, the local language was Sanskrit itself. It's Devanagari. Okay, they used to talk in Sanskrit. Okay, if you consider this any literature about the yoga, it's everything is in Sanskrit.
Okay.
Okay, now that everybody is translating to English, many other languages, but the root language for explaining all this Vedas and this yogic anything, whatever is there, it's all through in the Sanskrit literature. Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the last question.